Welcome to the Austin Parry Show. My name's Austin Parry, and I'd like to thank you for joining us today on the Austin Parry Show, where we talk about current events, politics, culture, and news. And today is episode 2 of my new Austin Parry Show that I just started yesterday, which was episode 1. Today is April 8th, 2021. Thank you so much for being here. If you were watching on YouTube, I would like to say please give us a like. Please give us a comment. Let us know what you think in the comment section. Please subscribe. Please share this video. Please email it to people, text it to people. And please hit the notification bell if you're watching on YouTube. And then also, I just wanted to say, if you're watching, please visit my website, which is austinparry.org. Or you can visit my second website, which is austinparryart.com. And if you would like to leave a donation, you can leave me a donation via PayPal, which my email address is austin.parry@gmail.com. And for today's episode 2, I have my good friend and my guest is Carlos Campbell. Thank you so much for being here with me today. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Thank you. Hi guys, I'm Carlos. Just like Austin, I've been researching a lot of topics, and including politics and metaphysical and anything out the ordinary, and even everyday lives. I like studying stuff. So when I saw his first episode and he hit me up, I was like, I gotta be on the next episode. So I'm excited to share my views with the world.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, man. And we're gonna have a really good conversation tonight. We're gonna talk about a few different news stories. I have some articles printed up right here. I have the documents. You can hear them. And so, Carlos, let's go ahead and talk about the news that we have going on.
All right.
So the first article which we have, which I printed up that we can talk about, is from MIT Technology Review. Are we making spacecraft too autonomous? Document shot. Are we making spacecraft too autonomous? What do you think, Carlos? Are we making spacecraft too autonomous?
What do they mean by autonomous? Like,
I think that they mean that there's artificial intelligence programmed into these different spacecrafts, into the circuitry and into the different microchips. There's artificial intelligence programmed into the spacecraft, which carries out a lot of its own functionality, which monitors its own systems, which doesn't require as much maintenance and things like that. And so, it's kind of like iRobot with Will Smith and how the technology kind of took over. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think we are making it too autonomous because we have to keep up and keep updated with our own technology. And if the technology is going on its own course, it's going to do stuff on its own with another agenda. Whether the agenda be positive or negative, I think it could be dangerous. Depending on who's programming the program, because
that's the thing. Who's writing the code? That's exactly what I want to know.
And what are their belief systems?
Is the artificial intelligence already writing its own code? So that's something to think about. I really like SpaceX. I like Elon Musk because I feel like he has like a bold, grand dream to reach for the stars and to be that that next frontier, that pioneer, reaching for the stars when no one else is like reaching for that. And he's kind of like a trailblazer in that aspect. And so let's go ahead and read from this article here that I have printed up, which is from MIT. It's actually specifically from www.technologyreview.com, and it's titled MIT Technology Review. Are we making spacecraft too autonomous? Let's read a little bit, why don't we? When SpaceX's Crew Dragon took NASA astronauts to the ISS near the end of May, the launch brought back a familiar sight. For the first time since the space shuttle was retired, American rockets were launching from American soil to take Americans into space. And if you go down a little bit, it says, growing up as a pilot, my whole career, having a certain way to control a vehicle, this is certainly different. Doug Hurley told NASA TV viewers shortly before the SpaceX mission, instead of calling for a hand on the control stick, navigation is now a series of predetermined inputs. The SpaceX astronauts may still be involved in decision-making at critical junctures, but much of that function has moved out of their hands. Thoughts?
Oh, that's terrible, because if you let the robots do everything, it's going to be from a logical standpoint.
Yeah, and it seems as though they're kind of just phasing out the human aspect, such as how there are fighter jets that are fully autonomous, such as the F-22 Raptor or the F-35 Lightning have, and I think, fully autonomous mode. They say that they need a pilot, but just like the SR-71 Blackbird or the B-2 Bomber, I think that it's possible that they have fully autonomous mode and they don't even really need a pilot. I think they could probably fly by themselves. I don't know. What do you think?
We need balance between logic, because I used to be one of those guys, like, you have to be logical, logic. Everything has to add up and stuff. But once you get older, you'll realize there's some things that can't be explained. There's an emotional aspect in life where you think something is supposed to happen this way, but something else different. So you have to balance emotions with logic, humanity with machines, so balance everything. Because machines are limited too, believe it or not, they're limited.
They are definitely limited, and balance is definitely key. That's one of the main things that people fail to consider, and a lot of different just aspects of life is like you need a harmonious relationship, a symbiotic relationship, a balance between things. That's what Socrates would preach a lot. And I totally agree with you on that. It's kind of a little bit scary, people, how we are making these spacecrafts so advanced and how they're almost in fully autonomous mode. And reportedly, they're not in fully autonomous mode, but I think there's a potential that possibly they can be fully autonomous, but it might be classified information, such as the fighter jets that I was talking about. I think they probably have a fully autonomous mode. I think that these SpaceX modules and capsules and space flight ships and starships, I think that they probably have a fully autonomous mode. And that's the AI technology that's taking it over. I'm reading to you folks from MIT Technology Review. Do you see that? Document shot.
Sources.
Document cam right here. This is, are we making spacecraft too autonomous? MIT Technology Review. For those of you who may not know that are watching this podcast right now, MIT is one of the most prestigious technology schools in the whole entire world. So if it's coming from a source from there, I'm inclined to think that they know what they're talking about.
This is a good discussion too.
It is.
Yeah, that's interesting.
So let's move on to the next article. Let's put this one down here. Next, from NewYorkPost.com, people. Aliens might be friendly, but don't bet on it. Experts' dire warning.
That's my topic.
NewYorkPost.com. Let's get a doc cam on that. Document shot. There you go. You see it? These are real sources, folks. I'm not making this up. I'm not BSing you. I'm talking about real news. I'm talking about NewsGuard certified sources, people. Okay? Let's go ahead and read this real quick. Sure, they're out there, but should we be looking? Michio Kaku, a professor of theoretical physics at City College of New York and all-around pop science icon, has issued a warning about extraterrestrials and efforts to seek them out. I think that it's a terrible idea, the 74-year-old astrophysicist said. Kaku, who perhaps is best known for his contributions to string theory, spoke to The Guardian about his new book, The God Equation, which covers contemporary movements in science and technology. So, I don't know if you have heard of Dr. Michio Kaku. Have you heard of this?
Yes.
So you know of Dr. Michio Kaku?
Yes.
How do you know of him?
Is that the one that had the analogy of saying if alien race wanted to come and take over this planet, it would be like comparing Bambi to Godzilla? Is that the guy?
Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. I've seen Dr. Michio Kaku since I was in high school, which was over 10 years ago, on the Science Channel. And so I've known about Dr. Michio Kaku for a while. And this is New York Post. And so Dr. Michio Kaku is saying, aliens might not be friendly if we do encounter them. Carlos, I got a question for you. What do you think aliens will look like if we do encounter aliens?
That's a great question. So we have to, with definitions, we have to be specific on definitions. So aliens and extraterrestrials are two different things. Extraterrestrials are beings that not from this earth that looks just like us or similar to us. That'll be with 2 arms, 2 legs, 2 eyes, and a head. Aliens would be something that's not familiar to us, like a giant octopus or something with 17 eyes and 4 legs.
Insect
and stuff
looking.
like that. Insectoids, anything like that that doesn't resemble like the quote unquote grays where it's just a head, 2 eyes, and arms.
And for our viewers who may not know, explain the gray aliens, because I know you've researched this, you know a little bit about this. Talk to the viewers about the grays.
So with the grays, there have cyborg, allegedly, because we're gonna do facts here or whatever. Allegedly, they're half cyborg, so a part of them is inhuman, and the gray aliens represent us in the future if we don't harmonize nature with not biology, but science and technology, or where we don't balance both, we'll end up like the grays, to where they're here to extract DNA from us because they can't reproduce, allegedly.
So you think that the gray aliens are actually using us similar to how we use cattle or livestock?
Yes, because they in their realm, they're disconnected with nature.
Okay, so we're talking about aliens. So we're talking about the gray aliens right now.
Mm-hmm.
There are several different types of aliens.
Mm-hmm.
There's, as we were talking about earlier in pre-production, we were talking about the xenomorph alien, which is from the Alien movie, which is a whole different type of physical form of alien.
Mm-hmm.
From your research, from your experience, what other types of aliens are there besides the gray aliens?
That's a great question. It's infinite. So since you brought your sources, I'm gonna bring my sources.
Okay.
We're gonna bring the viewers.
Do you have
down
the
to
documents?
Earth. Yes.
Nice.
Shout out to NASA. So
shout out NASA, we love you.
So let's forget about all the aliens and everything. Let's bring everybody back to reality, because a lot of people don't believe in aliens.
Okay.
And if you don't believe in aliens, it's a belief system. It's not true. So let's talk about probability. So I have an article from ScienceDaily.com, and it came from the University of British Columbia, June 16, 2020. So around 2016, around that time, there were different posts and stuff saying that in our Milky Way galaxies there are 8.8 billion Earth-like planets in the Goldilocks zone, which is the habitable zone where it's not too far from the sun or star and not too close. So that's the Goldilocks zone.
The right temperature.
Yes.
Okay.
So this was in 2016. They had a huge article. People shared it everywhere. 8.8 billion Earth-like planets. That's potential life, because the Goldilocks zone is critical for water to not be evaporated or melted and to sustain life. That doesn't mean there's life on there, but it's just the presence of water is a high probability. So now it's updated 2020. They said it's 6 billion Earth-like planets. So from 8.8 billion, 6 billion or whatever. So
and
let's
is that just within the
our
Milky Way?
Yeah, within the Milky Way.
Okay.
So let's say aliens don't exist, extraterrestrials don't exist. We're the only people that exist or whatever out of 6 billion in our Milky Way galaxy. Okay, I'll give you that. So there's another study from the NASA, of course. They used the Hubble Space Telescope, and this was around the same year, around 2016, 2018, where they said it was 2.2 trillion galaxies within our visibility, within the telescope visibility that exists, galaxies.
Okay.
So
we're getting deep here, folks.
The
It's getting deep.
update is 200 billion, so not trillions, but 200 billions. But that's just visible.
Wow.
So let's say we're the only intelligent life that exists in our one Milky Way galaxy. That's okay. What about the 200 billion?
Seems unlikely
galaxies?
to me, Carlos. Seems unlikely that we're the only intelligent life forms within the whole Milky Way galaxy when you just read it from NASA.
Yeah.
how there's so many inhabitable planets.
And this is based on probability, so it's not even facts or fake news or anything. Just probability alone, because none of us.
Exactly, and I want to cover that too. I'm glad you brought that up. We're not fake news here. We're being completely unbiased, and we're reading you our sources, folks. We're having a discussion about different topics that we think are relevant, but we're not just pulling this out of our butt. We're actually quoting the sources and showing you the sources that we're talking about. So, Carlos, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a possibility that we might encounter aliens within our lifetime. If aliens are brought into the forefront, brought into the limelight to humanity, how do you foresee that event unfolding?
Well, it will be an extraterrestrial because it will be something we were familiar with. Because if you have something that looks like a giant ant or something like a giant spider with 6 arms, it'll probably be a friendly thing, but we're going to look like, what the fuck? So it'll have to be something that's small, like 5 foot tall, and then have the same features as us, 2 arms, probably have 3 fingers or 4 fingers, but 2 arms, 1 head, and 2
legs. With a dome head. You think a dome head, like a big bubble head? You think? Because a bigger brain. What do you think?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Or something, even, it'll look just like us. It'll be some races that'll look just like us, but just little bigger eyes, just little features. And that way, so we won't panic because, like I said before, it's a belief system. If you don't believe in something and just pop up and show you, it's going to fuck up your brain and your psyche or whatever.
And why is the reason for the bigger eyes, do you think? Is that because of they've been in darkness and they've been on their ship, which is a ship that goes around the galaxy, and they have low light on these ships? What do you think?
I think it's their way to perceive different light spectrums because our color spectrum it's a lot, but it's just only the tip of the iceberg. There's so many different colors, and animals like cats could see so many other colors and vibrations. Even our telescopes, we have to use infrared light to see other things.
So the gray aliens are portrayed within human art as having large bug eyes. What do you think the reason for the bug eyes is?
I think with psychic
Enhanced
ability
sight.
and perception. So they have to see through the dark and stuff because if their planet is messed up due to disconnect with nature, you would assume it'll be like cloudy and the atmosphere is messed up, so you assume they live in caves and stuff. So with nocturnal creatures and our Earth, they have the big eyes like the lemurs and stuff like that, so it makes sense like that.
That does make a lot of sense, actually. You're a smart man, Carlos. Let me ask you another question. Let me pick your brain here. So, we talked about the gray aliens. I know that the viewers want to know about what about reptilians. Talk to me about reptilians, Carlos. What do you think about reptilians?
Okay, we're going to do facts about reptilians or whatever.
Facts.
So,
okay.
The idea of reptilians is the idea of a reptile evolving into a humanoid like us. So let's go to the history of humans.
Okay.
So according to Darwin, we evolved from ape-like creatures, and then that's been debunked as false. So I have to look up the sources for this. So we evolved from humanoid, ape-like creatures.
Creatures, yes.
Where then you get the whole cavemen and all that stuff where we were like hairy and more primitive and stuff. And then one day we just walk up straight and then our brains are more complex and stuff like that in a short amount of time span. Now,
is that from mathematics? Did we discover mathematics, and is that what it caused the large brain?
I am not sure, but because I have to bring the sources for this, so we're just going to touch on the outside of the topic or whatever of human evolution, because it's still mysteries about our human evolution, because you have primates that live just as long as us and are related to us, but is not evolved like us.
This is true.
So I'm trying to think how long humans been around or evolved. Let's say
over 1 million years.
Over 1 million years.
Yeah.
Let's say with that, just like that.
Right.
And you see how we evolved and basically controlled the planet and the resources and stuff like that. We have great white sharks, we have tortoises, we have alligators that's been living for hundreds of millions of years. So what's the difference between those animals and us? What made us turn into what we are now versus them? Because they've been out millions of years than us. So I think the natural evolution, I say we're unnatural to the natural evolution. So let's say naturally reptiles evolved to stand up straight and talk like us and be like us. That's the idea of reptilians. And it's all about probability. Do they exist? There's no proof.
So the argument is we are more similar to a chimpanzee or an orangutan or a gorilla than we are similar to a dinosaur or a velociraptor or a crocodile or an alligator.
Yeah, we evolved differently.
Okay.
We're an anomaly. We're our anomaly.
Carlos, you're hitting on all cylinders tonight. I like where your head's at. Let me ask you another question before we move on to the next article that we want to talk about.
That's a good segue to the next one too, yes.
What do you think, since we're talking about different kinds of aliens, what do you think about the Anunnaki? Tell me about your knowledge on Anunnaki, please.
I think the Anunnaki are the original beings that came down and played with our DNA to make us what we are now. I think that's the thing that made us an anomaly, because our DNA code has a junk DNA. Well, they call it the junk DNA.
I just got goosebumps.
But the junk DNA
Literally.
is really a key signature of all the other types of DNA we've been genetically modified with. And that's where you get the whole, we use only 10% of our DNA and all this stuff from. So we have so much potential to evolve from what we are now. But a lot of people don't believe the Anunnaki exists or whatever, so I have to respect that and then bring about the sources. So I would tell the viewers to read up on the ancient Sumerians and the ancient Egyptians and
Babylonians,
even the ancient Greeks, and then see their monuments and their technology and their philosophy and stuff, and then you decide for yourself. If it's all bullcrap, then that's okay, because I have no physical evidence, so we're gonna stay on the sources.
Thank you so much for that insight.
The Anunnaki could be our original creators, but there's no evidence for that.
Ladies and gentlemen, Carlos Campbell is pretty much an alien expert, and I thank you for your insight, because honestly, this is really good information that we're bringing out to the people right now. And without further ado, let's talk about the next article that we have in my stack here.
I'm ready for this one too.
And so we have from NewYorkPost.com, aliens might be friendly, but don't bet on it. You know what? We just talked about this one, actually. We already talked about this one. Let's move on to the next one. All right, folks. Moving on to the next article. It is Bigfoot bounty now tops $2.1 million. This is from KXII.com. Document shot. There it is. I am not fibbing. I am not lying. This is the facts of the world. Bigfoot bounty now tops 2.1 million. And let's read the article, at least the beginning of it, to see what we're talking about here. Oklahoma District 19 Representative Justin Humphrey first introduced a Bigfoot bounty bill in January that has now grown to over $2.1 million for catching Bigfoot alive. Wow, that's pretty crazy. They're actually offering a big sum of money to anyone who can catch Bigfoot alive. And this is from local government, Oklahoma government, that's offering a bounty of over $2.1 million for catching Bigfoot alive. What are your thoughts on this, Carlos?
That's interesting. That's the government saying that?
That is Oklahoma District 19 introduced a bill for the Bigfoot bounty, which has grown to over $2.1 million according to www.kxii.com.
That's interesting.
This is the document right here.
So with
Wow.
Oklahoma, I'm not familiar with the wildlife in that area because I'm from Georgia area, but there's some places where it's just wilderness and just no humans in the area, just all wilderness. And this is interesting because I would have thought that Bigfoot has been such a novelty for years until now because the government, y'all take the government serious. So this is interesting. I think it's dangerous because allegedly Bigfoots are like 10 to 12 feet tall. They could move around.
Really, that's
They're
all.
very intelligent, and I think that's why there hasn't been a lot of physical evidence, because if you see something like that in the wilderness, you're just going to freeze. You're going to be like, what the hell is that? And being that it's so much bigger than you and so much bulky and stuff, you're not going to be worried about filming. You're going to be worried about your life, and you're just going to be stunned by that. So I'm trying to think of a way to catch a Bigfoot. Like, my theory to catch a Bigfoot is find out what mountains or caves it lives in. But
it's home, where it's at home.
With my research, I learned that they could switch different dimensions or vibrations or whatever. But we're gonna stick on reality. We're gonna stick to the sources.
Okay.
So let's say there are cryptozoology. Let's say Bigfoot does exist. The easiest way to catch them is to you have to have food, and I think you need a military to get that. You need military force because those things are giant.
So you're saying it would be more likely to catch Bigfoot dead than it would be to catch it alive, because you could shoot it and kill it, but you're not going to catch it alive because they won't let you. What do you think?
Yeah, I think they're highly intelligent. So let's so for the people that don't believe in Bigfoot, let's think about all the animals that we thought that didn't exist that exist now.
Exactly.
The silverback gorilla was supposed to be a myth or whatever. Those exist, and a lot of other animals.
And not to interrupt you, but you're just talking about the gorilla. Did you know that the first gorilla was not discovered by Britain until the late 1800s? And it was
my goodness.
in Britain, in the UK, modern UK today. Back then it was Britain in the late 1800s. It was thought to be a myth. It was a jungle myth, a jungle crazy wild man, the gorilla. Oh no! Until finally a scientist from Britain went to Africa in the late 1800s, captured a gorilla, and actually in a cage brought it back to Britain, and all of the scientists and all of the big minds and all of the doctors were amazed, and that's where the King Kong story comes from, because when they brought the gorilla back from Africa to Britain in the late 1870s or 1880s, whenever it was, people were blown away by seeing this gorilla in a cage. And so that's what makes me think maybe there is Bigfoot out there. They didn't even know about gorillas in Britain until the 1870s or whatever, so maybe they're just really good at hiding, and they're really good at evading, and we haven't even caught a Bigfoot yet.
So it's
really interesting.
It's a lot of animals that's been in myth and legends that they find to be true. So let's say Bigfoot doesn't exist, it's a bunch of bullshit. So let's keep it like that until we do find a Bigfoot, and then the scientists have it and stuff like that. That's not going to be the problem. The problem is going to be able to find out how intelligent they are and where did they come from and why are they so related to us.
Do you want to hear my theory?
Let's just keep it as what if Bigfoot?
I think that if there is Bigfoot out there in existence and he's been evading the mainstream humanity, and they've just been hiding in different isolated pockets of forestry or jungle or whatever, if Bigfoot does exist, I think that Bigfoot is intellectually superior to humans, but it's similar to how in Lord of the Rings, how the elves were, and they had Rivendell, and they lived in harmony with nature, and they had a very clean and efficient and prosperous and good symbiotic relationship with nature. And you could tell from Peter Jackson's vision of Lord of the Rings how the elves lived in nature and how their structures were, and how, that's how I think Bigfoots are, but they're just not as dainty and like elegant as the elves are. They're more like hairy and like Sasquatch and like and so, but they live in harmony with nature, similar to how the elves are portrayed in Lord of the Rings. I think that's how, if Bigfoot is real, that's how Bigfoot is.
Yeah, so let's just wait till we have physical evidence, because everybody wants the facts. So let's wait, and then after that, we'll see.
$2.1 million to catch Bigfoot, people. I've got the article right here. If you think you can catch Bigfoot, you might make a lot of money. Let's move on to the next article now. We got 2 articles left, folks. www.businessinsider.com. Elon Musk says SpaceX will land rockets on Mars well before 2030. Wow, bold statement. We are going back to Mars. And when I say back to Mars, we have been to Mars with probes, and we have been to Mars with rovers. We have not landed a human being on Mars, but according to Elon Musk, we will before 2030. InsiderBusiness.com, document shot. There it is. So you can see it, look it up for yourself, read the article. And let's read a little bit of this real quick, Carlos, and then I want to get your take on this.
Yeah.
SpaceX expects to land Starship rockets on Mars well before 2030, Elon Musk tweeted. Musk's tweet was responded to an article about European lagging behind SpaceX in the space industry. Musk previously said SpaceX could land humans on Mars by 2026, but experts raised doubts about this. Let's go to the next page. SpaceX's founder and CEO Elon Musk on Tuesday said the company would land starships on Mars well before 2030 and urged Europeans to aim higher with its rocket technology to keep up with the space race. Wow, shots fired. He was responding to an Ars Technica article that said Europe would begin to focus on competitive launch systems as soon as 2030 and that European companies would soon be trailing SpaceX. Well, I don't know about that, but it is interesting that Elon Musk has a vision and has the dream to go to Mars in his spaceships that he's been building and he's been testing and he's been building prototypes of. And he thinks that we're going to literally send humans to Mars in his new Starship prototypes, and we're going to colonize Mars. And he has a whole system set up, and he has a plan to execute this. Carlos, what's your take on this story?
I'm glad you brought that article up, because we just talked about that earlier. And what I asked Austin earlier was, what do you think about us going to Mars? Is it wasting money and materials, or is it good to go out there and explore and be the new frontier or whatever? My beliefs, I think we need to stay on Earth and get Earth right or whatever and understand Earth. And then what you said is we need to explore and then just explore new things so we can
because
just
the space
evolve.
Race was what I was saying, is because that's what I was thinking also, is because the moon was a space race between the United States and the USSR, the United Soviet Russia. I forget exactly what it's called.
Because that was the first, and it was the first to be orbit in space after a whole bunch of
right. They had Sputnik, which was the first satellite that
went up. They need to make a horror movie about that, because the first guy wasn't the first guy. There was a lot of people that suffer trying to get into orbit.
Oh, you're talking about all the chimpanzees that they sent to space,
the cosmonauts.
Tests.
Yeah.
And so, this is my thinking on it, people. When we're talking about Elon Musk says SpaceX will land rockets on Mars well before 2030. Document shot. What I think about this is, so in the late 1960s, there was a space race, which was who was going to land a man on the moon first. Was it going to be the United States, or was it going to be the USSR, Soviet Russia? And that was basically a competition to who was going to be the leading superpower in the world. And you all know the story. Of course, the United States rose to the challenge. And now the next level to rise to the next tier is not who's going to land a man on the moon, but who is going to land a man on Mars. It's a much harder mission. It's not just 3 days to get to the moon. It's 2 years to get to Mars. And so it's extremely complex. It's extremely risky. It's extremely expensive. And it's the next level of the space race. And so that's why I think that it would be beneficial if America and Elon Musk...
it's good for the country.
It could be good for the country. It could be good for morale. It could be good for the community. What do you think?
I think we need to still develop our technology to save Earth first and then go there. I think once we realize we discover the oceans and Earth and get this humanity thing complete or whatever and figured out, then by the time we do that, we'll have the free technology. I think Elon Musk probably already know all the free technology and stuff like that. I think that's why he's doing it. He know how to use there's a thing where they say it's something like a small box where you could light up a whole city or whatever with nuclear energy or whatever, nuclear fusion, nuclear warheads or nuclear fission where it disperses energy, but nuclear fusion, like our sun or whatever, is infinite amount of energy. I think he has that technology, and then that's why people are so against what he say. They were like, "Oh, that's weird. What is he talking about? We got oil and all this stuff." But yeah, I think he needs to wait till the world is ready to go there, because right now we're going through some primitive stuff right now to go out to Mars or where, especially with the wars and stuff like that. We need to unite with all the countries or whatever, no NWO shit, but just respect other countries and then respect other cultures and use share resources and technology so we'll grow as one. Because I think China or Japan is the most technological advanced civilizations with the technology wise, because China is known for cyber warfare, and Japanese is way high tech. They had iPhones before we even thought of iPhones, and holograms and stuff like that. So I think we need to share our technology in a whole as a race. Then we'll go up as a race. I think it'll be way easier to go to Mars if we connect together.
I agree with what you're saying. I think that China and Japan do have very advanced technology. I think the U.S. potentially does have very advanced technology as well. You were speaking a little bit about free energy, and that's something that made my ears perk up.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think Elon Musk already knows about free technology, or what are some of the different types of free energy that we could be using to replace some of these fossil fuels or different things like solar technology that's not very efficient? What do you think?
We go back to history. We go to Nikola Tesla, and research what he's doing. But now that I think of it, because we was talking about the military and stuff, our U.S. military is 20 years advanced than what we're doing right now. Any year is always going to be 20 years more
at
advanced.
least. Right.
So I think they just need to share their knowledge, share it with everybody. But the reason why they won't share is because we have too many enemies. We got China and we got Russia and Iran and other countries or whatever. Once we figure out and respect everybody's cultures and belief systems and areas, then we could unite with that technology. Because if we combine the top 3 first world countries together, and then we put all our minds together with no bias or anything, we would do anything. We'll be able to go to damn Saturn and shit like that. But it's all about the unity first.
It is all about the unity. I call for unity. I call for unification. I think that these wars are stupid. I think that they have all kinds of secret technology that would unify us, and that's why they suppress this technology from us. So that's one of the main reasons. That was a very voracious conversation, and that was a very interesting article about Elon Musk says SpaceX will land rockets on Mars well before 2030. You saw it here first, folks, on the Austin Parry Show. Let's move on to the last and next article, which we have is from ehtrust.org. Says clear evidence that radio frequency radiation is multi-site carcinogen. So people that don't know what carcinogen or carcinogenic means, that means it's cancer causing. And so this article is claiming that radio frequency is causing cancer. Carlos, what do you think about this topic?
Oh man, I didn't even see that topic. That's great. Let's go back to the middle of 2020 when the whole 5G conspiracy was going out. Everybody was going out talking about 5G is deadly, 5G is dangerous and stuff. It's true, but they're jumping the gun. We have to realize what Wi-Fi is doing to us. Wi-Fi, we've been around Wi-Fi for so many years. So what Wi-Fi does, it weakens your body over a slow amount of time. It's just like putting a frog inside of a pot of water and then put it on high and then watch it slowly bubble. The frog isn't going to panic because it don't feel anything. It's just sitting there. So with Wi-Fi, I have to bring my sources out. Wi-Fi is slowly killing us slowly, just like smoking cigarettes.
It's a
where
slow
Wi-Fi is dangerous slowly. So with 5G, it's the same thing. So what I do with my they say on different articles you're supposed to turn off your Wi-Fi when you go to sleep and stuff. But with me, I put shungite gemstones and tourmaline gemstones to absorb the negative Wi-Fi radiation. So with Wi-Fi, it's just something we're gonna have to deal with, and different radiation signals or whatever. Unfortunately, we got to deal with it, but we could do stuff to raise our vibrations and live a healthy lifestyle. I should have brought articles on this. I heard that it's healthy to be out in nature and just hearing natural sounds like the birds chirping and just walking out in the park and stuff. Just simple stuff like that, like get out the city and stuff. And then it's like a stress reliever. So what is that, Environmental Health Trust? This is serious because it won't affect us right now, but 10 years from now, we're going to be like, I feel weaker than I was before.
And let's read a little bit real quick. I'm just going to read you a little segment of this article that I just showed you on the document cam. Hardell and Kahlberg have published their expert commentary on the U.S. National Toxicology Program study on rats and mice. They conclude in their paper that there is clear evidence that RF radio frequency radiation is a human carcinogen. Carcinogen means cancer causing glaucoma and vestibular schwannoma, acoustic neuroma. The paper additionally considers other cancer endpoints. Folks, this is clear evidence, and this is just one document. I have the documents, folks. Can you hear that? I have the documents.
Solid.
I can print up a lot of these different documents. They're all talking about how RF, which is radio frequency, that's when you use your cell phone to call somebody, that's sending out radio frequency, which is a type of electromagnetic radiation, which is a type of radiation, which is a type of energy. And I don't know if you know, but RF burns are a thing. Why don't you Google RF burns and you will see people who have been burned by focused, concentrated radio frequency signals. And these are scrambling your brain cells. They are heating up your brain cells. And I think that they're causing damage if used improperly and if used for extended amount of time. I think that it can be safe under the right conditions. But I think that people need to be conscious of this. I think it's possible that cell towers and possibly even your cell phone, if used incorrectly over long extended periods of time, can be cancer causing, as shown in this article by ehtrust.org.
So the solution is have a no phone day. Just go out and go to the beach or just walk around. You don't have to be in a park or whatever. Just walk around and just embrace nature. A lot of people have pets. Just go walk your dog and stuff. And then in your house, if you have a router box, anything with Wi-Fi or whatever, put a gemstone on top of it.
Okay.
Let's say if you don't believe it, just put it on there and don't worry about it.
I think that
we have to live with 5G and Wi-Fi or whatever, but you have to balance it too. It's just like smoking cigarettes or drinking alcohol. It'll kill you if you're not balanced enough. So
I definitely agree with that. I think that the gemstones that you're talking about can absorb energy. I think that's proven. I think also another good thing that you could do is you can either buy or build a Faraday cage. And for people that don't know what a Faraday cage is, it's basically an enclosure, a box or just a screen around something that's like a metal mesh, or it can be solid metal, but it basically is completely enclosing something and it blocks out electromagnetic frequencies. And so there's different types of Faraday cages also. I want you to know, Carlos and the viewers, I purchased a phone case for my phone, which it velcros up. I put my phone in, closes with the Velcro, and that, yes I do. And that is a small Faraday enclosure, and it's weaved in the fabric with metal fibers. And so when I put it in that case, it is completely in its prison. No one can call me. I won't receive any texts. Mm-hmm. And it's in its prison, and so I can cut my phone off if I want to. And I think that's a good thing. That's a good baby step for people to be able to do. It's not you're just completely cold turkey, no phone, and you just live out in the sticks or whatever, no technology. But it's a good compromise. You can put your phone in its little tiny Faraday cage, which is just a phone case, which has metal fibers woven into it. You can buy them for like $7-8 on eBay. And I got one. It's perfect. I recommend them to everybody. But that's a small step you can make, people, to get you on track to being more independent and less dependent on the technological system, which could potentially be carcinogenic, which means it could be giving you cancer, folks. So that's the last article for the day. Mm-hmm. And we're going to drop this down here. And that concludes the Austin Parry Show. Thank you so much for joining us. I just want to let you guys know that I love you all very much. Thank you for tuning in. And please like this video. Please subscribe to my channel if you're watching on YouTube. Please leave a comment. Please share this video. Please text or email this video to different people. Yeah. And I just want to say, if you want to support me, you can leave me a donation via PayPal. My email is austin.parry@gmail.com. Or you can visit my website, which I will be updating regularly, which is austinparry.org. Or you can go to my second website, which is austinparryart.com. And let me pass this over to Carlos. What is your website and where can people find what you're doing?
You can find me on Instagram, Mechfrza, MECHFRZA. And I'm an artist also. I have my website, owlspiritshop.com, and come and see me, buy a shirt. And
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining the Austin Parry Show, Carlos Campbell. And tune in for the next episode. This was episode 2, and episode 3 is probably going to be posted tomorrow. Thank you all so much. I love you. God bless, and have a good night. Peace and love.